Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Dona Kappmeyer, and I am the CEO and firm owner of KAPPital Game Playing Consulting and Action Coach in South Texas. And I am going to be your host for today. I am very excited to have our special guest, Omar Garcia, on our show. Omar is the managing partner of VR Business Brokers in San Antonio, Texas. And today we're going to speak with Omar about his journey to get to where he is at today and the challenges and successes of owning and operating a business. If this is your first time on our channel, please be sure to like and subscribe so that you can get notifications when we publish new content. Well, Omar, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you, Donna. Pleasure to be here. An honor to be here.
Awesome. Well, this is going to be fun, and I'm really looking forward to this podcast today. So let's talk a little bit about your business. So, how exactly is it structured?
Yeah, so, gosh, we opened the business about 17, 18 years ago. And
Wow.
since then, we've been structured as an LLC. It was my wife and I initially. Both of us
Okay.
are 50-50 partners. And then through the years, we added three other partners. So they've been with us for, gosh, pretty much since we opened. So we all worked together that long. Yeah, yeah.
17 years is a long time.
Oh, yeah. We have had a lot of ups and downs. Before that, I was in the corporate side. And from this side, owning your own business, feels like you're in a small, flimsy boat relative to big the structure I was before in large corporations. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
big corporate. So you went from big corporate to this flimsy boat. So what kind of made you pivot? Tell me a little bit about that big corporate experience and then that
Yeah.
transition over into starting your own business.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, I guess. I did some process engineer early in my career. Then I jumped into the corporate side and Um, I was part of the strategic planning group for a large Mexican conglomerate in their beer operations. Long story short, I ended up doing M&A for them. I did
Okay.
all the valuations when we sold 23% of FEMSA's beer operation to La Paz out of Canada in the 90s. So that was a $2 billion transaction. We only sold about a quarter, so it was 500 million or what we sold. Um, so I did that, and they sent me to marketing because they wanted to round me off a little bit more to be part of their senior team. And then they sent me as an expat to the U.S. I used to work for the guys that manufacture and sold Dos Equis and Tecate. So I was a brand manager in Connecticut for a few years. Then I didn't like that we had Canadian and Mexican ownership. It was a little bit political. So I went to Cadbury Schweppes, which was also based out of Connecticut. They're a British company, but their U.S. operation at the time was in Connecticut. And went to another brand uh, targeting the Hispanic market called Clamato. Did that for a few years. And then one of my kids had some health concerns issues, and my wife wanted to be closer to the family, so we came to Texas. And family was in Monterrey, Mexico, or in Mexico for her. So yeah, came to Texas, work as a senior executive with Dr. Pepper in their marketing department. And after a few years, I kind of realized that I wanted to do something else. It was just a little more political, more elbows being thrown around, and I didn't enjoy that.
Hmm.
So I decided to do my own thing. I did consulting for some time. The recession hit 2006, 7 was, I mean, the big recession hit in 2008, but before that,
Yeah.
we were feeling it. And then I wanted to buy my own business, didn't find anything that I liked, and I was like, well, I know marketing, I know M&A, I can be a broker. I have met with a few of them. They were very good. But I thought I could bring something new to the marketplace. And that's how I got started. Yeah. That was in 2008 that we kind of initiated the process and opened our doors in 2009. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Very good. So took the big leap. I mean, a ton of big corporate experience took the big leap to be in this flimsy boat. And so let's talk a little bit about your brokerage firm. So, who does your company serve?
Yeah, so when we started, we're part of a franchise. The target that was recommended to us by the franchisor was sell a lot of very small businesses. So that was kind of the strategy that they recommended
Okay.
because you would always have activity and you would always have buyers coming in. But that was like a pre-internet strategy. It was driven
Okay.
by having a lot of buyers coming in into the office. But what we discovered is, I mean, we were getting the buyers from multiple websites. So we didn't need necessarily that flow like they were recommending from years past. And having all these very small businesses was just a lot of work. The deals were very, very emotional. So we
Mm.
realized that we had to grow in transaction size. So slowly we started gaining credibility and doing bigger and bigger deals. So, I mean, we started selling uh, small restaurants, bars, things like that. And now, I mean, we basically do mainly services. We do manufacturing, we do home services like plumbing, electrical. Um, I mean, we right now have a medical device company that we have under LOI. So the skills has have been there. We were just applying them to the wrong market, and I think now that we kind of have evolved, yeah, our skills are much more appreciated. Yes.
I love that. So, when you were dealing with a lot smaller companies, a lot higher volume, it was more transactional. Um, and maybe not. And you said the word emotional, a lot more emotion involved, but you found yourself that if I focused on a higher transaction, less volume, you were much more or are much more effective in that space.
Yes, and moving from one market to the other was a little bit scary. But yeah, initially each one of us had a lot of owners that we were representing. We were talking to a lot of buyers. We A lot of the businesses were not selling because they were so small that it was difficult to get financing for them. Back then, it was 2009 and 10. Banks were shut down, so it was very, very difficult. So as we migrated to bigger deals, and these are not huge deals. I mean, they're in the pretty much in the 1 million to 10 million range. What we found is that we could devote more quality time to our listings, protect our sellers better. Um, yeah, and add more value to the deal. Yes.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit more about that, the value proposition. So what makes your business unique and why would people want to do business with your company?
Yeah, so I mean, what we state out there to the marketplace is 100% confidential, not from fees, and free valuation. So what we're hoping to achieve through that is get them through the door. But at the end of the day, what they realize is that the team that we have in place really, really cares about our sellers. We really care about making sure that they get the best price, the best terms, and that we find the right buyer for their business. And the process that we put in place, I think it's a little bit unique. I see some of my competitors even doing deals my size or bigger than I do, that somebody signs an NDA and they just send out the package. We don't. So somebody signs an NDA, I will send them an email with my calendar link and they have to book time with me. And that's a filter. So
Okay,
about half of them don't book time with me. So that
interesting.
means, yeah, and I just request from them 15, 20 minutes. So if they're not willing to invest those 15, 20 minutes, to me, it means that they're not serious. They never
Yeah.
really intended to buy this business. They were just curious. or they were a competitor, and I'm gonna uncover them now somehow. So yeah, so that small filter makes a big difference, but it requires a lot of time. There's some businesses that we represent that attract a lot of buyers, but are they might have some hair, like they say in the business. They might have a little bit of concentration, or the owner might be too key of a person. So what that implies is that we have to talk to a lot of buyers to find the right one. We'll sell the business eventually, unless it's an extreme situation. But yeah, but it requires for us to talk to a lot of them, and that filter takes about half of them out. Yeah, yeah.
Very good, right? And that's part of that your uniqueness is I want to talk to them. I want to really find out about who they are, what they need, and what they're looking for,
Yeah, so
right?
basically, the first things out of my mouth in those meetings is one, I want to know who you are, I want to know your objective, and I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly of the business right up front. Okay. So if there is a little bit of concentration, he'll know and he'll tell me, no, this is not for me. Then I won't send them the package, right?
Love
So
that. Love that.
yeah, yeah. So I get to qualify him. So who are you? Why do you want to buy a business? Are you pre-approved by a bank? What resources do you have? What is your experience? It's just 5, 10 minutes of that, and then it's my turn. It's like, okay, this is the business. I mean, he has an NDA, so this is the business. This is the good part of the business. It's growing. It's this, and that. This is the not so awesome part of the business. Depending on the owner. It might have some concentration. It might have some key employees, this or that. I mean, I spell it all out, and then a lot of them tell me, oh, I don't think this is the right fit for me. Okay, that's fine. So I don't send them the package. There is no reason for me to send them financials and that write up that we have. We have like a 20-page write up on the business. I won't send it to them. Okay. But the ones that do want it, they're, I mean, it's not that they're going to buy it, but th- they're most likely ones to go all the way and purchase the business. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. So, we work with a lot of small and mid-sized companies, and is there some advice from a from a seller perspective, people who are maybe thinking about selling their business? Are there some things that you can give from an advice perspective about these are the things that you need to be aware of, or these are the things that you should have a place, to try to get them the most, or to be ready to be able to be sold, if you will?
Yeah. I mean, there's several things that are attractive to a buyer. One of them is that the business is not solely dependent on the business owner. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, Concentration is a big issue. If you have some concentration, your kryptonite to private equity. They don't want to see your business. So you just alienated a big portion of the market. Um, if you have contracts, that's something good because it provides them the safety that you're still going to have sales through time. If you have a sales team in place, if you have a management team in place, if you have systems in place, all of that increases the value of the business to some degree. Um, yeah, yeah. If you have clean books, that would also help in the sale. So
Hmm.
all of those are things that you want to start working on if you're thinking of selling your business. Yeah.
Very good. Good advice. Are there companies that approach you about selling their business and you say, you know what, you're not ready to sell?
Yeah, we have, I mean, the market is almost like a pyramid, right? So you have a
Okay.
lot of very small ones. So if they're too small, don't take them. That's not our market anymore.
Hmm.
So we're kind of on the next bracket. On the
Hmm.
next bracket, yeah, if we see a lot of concentration, we're not going to take it. If the books are messy, depends how messy they are. I mean, if sometimes they're taking in cash, if they're taking in cash, we're not going to take it.
Okay.
We don't want to get into any problems. Um, Sometimes we see sellers, and this is kind of interesting, that they don't like paying taxes and they do everything the legal way. What they do is they buy equipment and trucks and routes and things like that, and they write them off, which is good, but then they have a lot of debt. So let's say the business is worth 4 million, but they have 3 million in debt, so they're not going to clear what they want to clear because they've been so aggressive in purchasing equipment. Let's see what else. I mean, there's some sellers that they're they want to control the process, and and we need space. I mean, they'll make all the decisions, but we gotta be the ones running the process somehow. If they want to run it for us, then there's no need for us to be there. So we
Sure.
can't do that. And see what else. Those are kind of the key ones. Yeah, going top of
Very
mind.
good. It's interesting this time of year, right? We're in December, we're recording this, and people are looking for write-offs. So it's interesting you bring that up about, well, what are your books gonna look like afterwards when you do acquire those things and have those write-offs to avoid taxes, but then you're saddled with that debt after the fact.
Yeah.
Interesting timing of this. Very good. So when you and I talked prior to this, you talked about kind of the market shifting a little bit. Can you talk a little bit more about how the buyer spaces might be changing a little bit right now?
Yeah, I mean, it has changed a lot. I mean, like 7, 8, 9 years ago, we couldn't give away a plumbing company. If we put it out there now, we have 100 buyers. I'm exaggerating, but we have a lot of buyers on the
Huh?
first week. There's just a lot of interest for home services right now. So that's something interesting. The other thing that has happened in the past 5, 10 years, maybe in the past five, there has been a new buyer class that are pretty much MBA graduates that instead of going to Goldman Sachs or to the Boston Consulting Group, they want to own a business, and they have taken classes
Okay.
in their MBA for that, and they have investors, they have banks lined up. They're very, very smart. Some of them fairly young, but that's a new buyer class that didn't exist back then. So, yeah, yeah. Now, the other side of this coin is a lot of these guys, they're super capable, they're very smart, so they're contacting sellers directly. Okay.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're contacting sellers directly, and then some sellers decide to sell to them. And the risk with that is if you have one buyer, you have no leverage, right? So yeah, yeah. So you have one offer. He could string you out and then retrade the deal after due diligence because he found this little thing here and there. If you're not educated, that you don't know how to analyze working capital and what's a fair working capital peg to live on the business. So yeah, you're in a disadvantage if you're the seller because these guys are very, very smart. They just came out of school and they have been trained to buy the business at the lowest price possible, and you have no leverage, and you have no frame of reference. I mean, usually my sellers, they only sell a business once, so they don't really don't
Yeah.
know what they're doing. And we see
Yeah.
this a lot. The other thing that we see out there that is kind of interesting is on the other side of the spectrum, you have brokers that charge hefty sums of money, 35, 40,000, and then they don't sell the business. Okay.
Oh,
And by the time we get there, then the seller is very suspicious about everyone in the industry. I'm like, we don't charge any upfront fees precisely for that reason. So you and I were tied at the hip. If you sell it, we make our commission. If you don't sell it, we don't get paid. But that also means that if a seller wants us to sell a business, let's see, we do a free evaluation. We tell them the business is worth 3 million. Let's say a number. He says, "Well, I won't sell it for less than five." The guy that's charging the upfront fee might say, "Okay, we'll take that, but you have to pay me 40 grand upfront," with the hopes of bringing the price down. We won't take it. because I'm not going to sign up to a project that I know I won't be able to sell. Okay. So the analogy that I tell the sellers is, I mean, I'm giving you like a 60-yard field goal. I might be able to do 65, but there is no way I can do 80 yards. So if you move it that far out, I'm not your guy. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's where ethics comes in, right? And
yeah,
why and what you value. And like, I'm just going to be honest with you and I'm going to walk away from that deal because it's the right thing to do.
exactly.
Love that.
And my time has value, so I'm not gonna work on something that I know of the get-go that I can't sell. So
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, that's
yeah,
really, really good because it's tough. And you're right. You said that most sellers only sell one time, so they don't know what they don't know. And if they're not
exactly.
educated and they get that one person that calls them out of the blue and they don't know what they don't know, they might be setting themselves up and to their detriment.
Donna, and it's really, really interesting. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. So sometimes you get lucky and you get a really good buyer early in the process. So you're 1 week in and you get a terrific offer. And let's say you told the seller it's worth 3 million, you get an offer for 3 million. Then he starts thinking, well, am I leaving money on the table?
Mm, mm,
Is she
mm.
sandbagging me? So you know what? I'm not gonna accept it. Let's go back to the market for 4 million. I was like, oh man, I know that it's not gonna sell for 4 million. I understand his position because he doesn't know us that well that we're trying to do the right thing. So we've had those things happen. And yeah, I mean, we show him comps, we show him the rationale why the buyer can't afford an SBA loan at that level, but sometimes I don't want to listen. So yeah, yeah. So it's just part of the business. No, it comes with the territory. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So let's talk about future state. Where do you see your business and maybe even the industry heading in the next 3 to 5 years?
I mean, oh God, since I joined the industry about 20 years ago, we've been talking about the silver tsunami. We're still expecting the silver tsunami, so hopefully in the next 5 years will hit before I retire myself.
All right.
Yeah,
Mm,
so I mean, there's a lot of potential in the industry. Um, I think AI is changing things for the good. We're getting a lot of suppliers that can do the books that we put together using AI a lot faster and cheaper. Um, yeah, so I think there is a role for AI in improving the processes somehow, maybe also improving how look for buyers, for sellers. So yeah, yeah. I really don't know on that side. I guess we're all kind of learning if AI is going to become our advisor or AI is going to replace us. So that's
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
an interesting space because everybody has a kind of a different perspective, and depending on where you're at, you're early adopter or you're on the opposite spectrum where I'm really should not sure I want to tap into that. It's impacting everybody, but not everybody's sure how to address it or where it's going to fall out. So we're
yeah.
still all feeling our way around what that's going to
Okay.
look like in the future and where it's going to settle.
But it's a force and it's out there and it
Yeah.
will have an impact in the next 5 years. We just don't know
Yeah.
exactly how. Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
going to ask you a kind of a two-part question, and it's going to come from two perspectives. What is one piece of advice you would give to business owners who are trying to sell? And then a second part of that is what is one piece of advice you would give to business owners or people who are wanting to buy these businesses that are being held for sale?
Yeah, so if you're planning to sell, I would recommend that you talk to somebody like us.
Mm,
Many of us provide free valuations or nominal cost valuations so you know where you are, so you know what are the weak spots of your business. If there is a gap in value, because many business owners have a lot of their equity or retirement funds tied up with the business.
Hmm.
So they know where they are. If there is a gap, so they know how to address it. They might need somebody like you to help them take them from 3 million to 5 million because that's their number. And they still have time.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, all of them should be working in kind of separating themselves a little bit from the business so it's easier to sell. Yeah, yeah. I mean, but that's advice that we could provide them once we meet face to face, and we don't charge for that. Yeah.
Awesome. What about on the sorry, on the buyer side? What would that look like? What would you give from an advice perspective to somebody who's wanting to buy one of these companies?
So, I mean, we get approached by a lot of buyers, and in reality, we don't have time for them because there's so many. They just
Oh.
come, I want to buy a business. What type of business? I don't know. And how much money do you have? Well, it depends. I'm like, okay. You throw me a bone here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but what I tell buyers is you really got to understand where can you add value. I mean, what is your background? What is your experience? What, I mean, based on that, think of what can you really add value, and um, and then once you buy a business, don't make quick changes. In 17 years, and we've had probably over 100 transactions. One or two have gone bad, and those two transactions have gone bad because the buyer implemented changes too fast.
Okay.
Okay. So just be patient. I mean, you might not like the sales guy and how he addresses you. You might not like that the process are not up to your standards. Just be patient. Just be patient. Understand the business. Understand, build a relationship with the team before you start making dramatic changes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's really good advice. And I want to add another question on with that. Do you find that there's, from your experience in this market space that you're playing in, are the buyers becoming active participants in the business, or is it this just another company that's being absorbed into a bigger portfolio? Or kind of what does that mix look like?
Well, it depends on the buyers. So we deal with a lot of search funds, which are these MBA type of buyers. We
Hmm.
deal with a lot of individuals, and they typically buy the business, and their intent is to operate it themselves.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there is another buyer that is private equity, and they will buy like a bigger business and then do a lot of add-ons to it. And they buy the bigger business, I don't know, maybe at a six multiple, cash flow in 3, 4 million, and then add a bunch of little ones around it that they buy at three multiple. And but then the aggregate 5, 7 years later, they can sell at a 7, 8 multiple because they grew it by adding all these little ones.
Ah,
But that's more the private equity group. Yeah, yeah. So it
very,
depends
very good. Very good.
what
It
the seller
depends.
wants to do. Yeah, and who he wants to sell to. I mean, yeah, if he wants his business to be preserved as it is, then you want to sell probably to an individual buyer or a search fund. If you don't mind that they take away your accounting guy and they take away some of your back office because they already have that private equity might be the people you want to sell to. The other thing here is if you sell to private equity, many times they will ask you to stay and you have the proverbial second bite at the apple. So that means that you sell, let's say, 70%, you retain 30% equity. And when they sell 5 years ago, you sell that 30% that you kept at a much higher value. Okay. But you have to be willing not to be the boss anymore, not to have control anymore, be patient. So yeah, yeah, yeah. And
So
and
there's
I've
lots of
seen And I've seen people that have done extremely well doing that because they sell the business like three, four times. And yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they have to hang on. They sell it to a private equity, but they've got to hang on. They lose basically the ownership, if you will, not like more of the
Control. Yeah,
control, not ownership, but control, if you will, right? But they hang on for those, 3 to 5 years, whatever that term is. The outcome can be a lot more significant
that
for
is correct.
them if they hang
Mhm.
on.
Yes,
But
yes.
it's losing that control is the trade-off for that as
Yeah,
well.
and then you have to make sure because it's a marriage almost that you're marrying the right
Yeah,
team, right? That is an ethical team, that you feel comfortable with them, that you're able to talk to other people that have sold to them and see how they were treated. I mean, there is a lot of intricacies into selling a business, and that's where we add the value because we've seen
yeah,
a lot of these things. And many sellers they want to sell the commission, they want to save the commission, but at the end they leave money on the table because they don't know what they don't know. Yeah.
yeah. What else? If there's any other information that you would like to share with our audience, what would you like to share?
We're a phone call away.
Speaking of that, Omar, yes, of course. What is your contact information? What is the
Yeah.
best way for folks to get a hold of you?
Yeah, an email will work, and my email is omar at vrsanantonio.com. My direct line is 210. I have it written here because I forget, 966-4106. Yeah, and I'm easy to find. Use Google B, or I'm gonna come up on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Very good. Well, Omar, thank you for sharing your story. This has been really, really good because we live in this space, and this information is so, so, so important from, especially from a seller perspective, and of course buyers too. But really, I'm hoping we have a lot of people who are out there who are business owners who are wanting to sell or thinking about selling. You've got to watch this podcast and the show and really heed the advice of Omar. So. This is a business spotlight series with Donna Kappmeyer from Capital Game Plan Consulting and Action Coach in South Texas, along with Omar Garcia with VR Business Brokers. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can continue to see our great content. Omar, thank you so much for being on
Thank you.
our show.
Thank you, Donna. It's
You
been a
did awesome.
blessing. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.